Hey everybody, welcome to my Pietenpol Air Camper / RV7 YouTube video channel. Thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. If you've been here before and you've looked at some of the other videos, you've probably noticed the long, boring introduction at the beginning of each one. I am redoing that now. I just want to cut it down, keep it nice and short and sweet and to the point. So again, welcome. One thing I also wanted to make note of is I'm going to include some contact information for those who have questions and would potentially like some help with their project. Haters, don't waste your time. I am Johnny on the spot with the delete button, and I will delete your email post haste and not even read it, so don't waste my time, don't waste yours. Anybody else looking for some help, advice, have questions, concerns, whatever, you'll now be able to contact me directly. I'm quite regular on email, so I should be able to get a response to you relatively quick. I've got a ton of photographs for both aircraft, so if you need some clarification on something, chances are I've got detailed photographs and I'll be able to help you out. Let's see, other than that, I think that's it. I'm going to keep this short. Again, if you like what you see and you want to help me out to get through my RV7 build project, you can visit my GoFundMe. Just do a search for Caretaker Aero. That's Caretaker with a K. I also have an Amazon wish list. There's some pieces, parts in there that I could use. Again, if you feel moved enough to help me out, it'd be greatly appreciated. Or if you want to just contact me directly, you know, we can talk about whatever, and so I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, thanks for coming by, I appreciate it, and again, hopefully you'll find these videos worth your time, and that's that. So let's get back to building, and I am now going to shut up, and I'll talk to you later. This is my caster assembly for the tail wheel. This is all made out of 0.080 thick 4130 steel. It's all welded together, and you'll see in the photographs the various templates that I had made to make these individual pieces. But let's see. This is a single piece here that was cut, and then this is another single piece here that ends up getting welded across here. The individual legs are each individual single pieces, and then these support wings are also individual pieces, and they get welded all together everywhere through here on both sides, here, here. Of course, as I said, this piece gets welded to this piece across here on both sides, here, and then this piece also gets welded to this upright across through here on both sides, on the inside, here, on both sides. So this piece is pretty much a solid part once it's all welded to everything else. And again, I'll show pictures, some still pictures, and narrate this a little bit. And then if you can imagine this top part here being parallel to the ground, you can see that it's castered, it's angled back, this being the forward edge. So it will be like this, and this is why I was saying I got to get the bend of the tubing correct, because if it ends up sitting this way, then you lose that angle, and the wheel is pretty much straight up and down. Let's see if I can get this. You don't want it like this, or worse, this way, because that's going to severely impact the castering effect of the wheel and introduce shimmy. And of course you don't want it this way either, because that puts a lot of undue stress on the assembly, And again, that's going to affect the castering ability and maybe introduce shim. So you want this top surface parallel to the ground, and you can see that it's angled just a little bit so that the caster effect will work. It shouldn't be too overly stressed. It shouldn't shimmy, and it has enough of an angle so it will be somewhat self-aligning. When it hits the ground, it will automatically straighten out. In theory, we'll see. Okay, so these are the little individual components that I'm working on so far. And then of course I've got my spring assembly. I've got a bearing assembly that I'm working on for the tail wheel. And where did that shaft go? There's a shaft that goes in here that's going to get welded to this, but I'll get to all that when I get to it. So let me get some more work done and then I'll come back.
So here are some still photographs to hopefully clarify some of the things that I talked about in the video. This is the caster assembly that I designed and fabricated. In the foreground are the cardboard templates that I make. I design these in a CAD type of program on the computer, and then I'll print them onto some thin cardboard and cut them out, and kind of like a model, then I can fit them together and check the fit and make sure that things go together the way that I think they should. Once I get everything fitted the way that I like, I go ahead and transfer the templates onto the actual steel sheets and then cut them out and do the welding and all that. The longer template in the middle of the photograph, that is the main part, the main body part of the caster assembly, and what's not shown is the other small cardboard template that is a part of that main that longer main piece. That the two pieces get welded together like I had talked about in the video. The reason I decided to make that out of two different pieces, if you look at the caster assembly itself with the long piece that has the holes on each end for the cables, that piece and the other smaller piece that's on top of it that are welded together, had that all been one big piece, I would have had to have made a couple of inside corner cuts, which, since I was using a power shear, I can't cut inside corners, so I just decided to make them in two separate pieces and then weld them together. And then the other pieces were just sized appropriately off of the tire that I was using. It's a 4-inch tire, so the legs with the big holes in it for the tire axle, those had to be long enough to clear the tire itself. And then I went ahead and made the support wings to tie the horn where the cables attach to the legs that have the holes for the axle to go through the axle bolt. I wanted something to tie the two of those together, so I used these diagonal wing supports welded to each. And you know, if you can imagine this on the plane, it's somewhat aerodynamic just because only the thin parts of the metal are in the airstream, if you will. So I was pleased with that, the fact that only the thin 0.080 inch thickness of each of these steel components is into the wind, if you will. So it should, quote, fly quite nicely, but we'll see. This is a picture from underneath the assembly that shows the welding I had done for the steel metal shaft that the bearings ride on, the bronze bushings ride on. Again, this shaft passes through the flat steel plate, and on the bottom side here of that steel plate I had welded on a thick washer, a thick steel washer got welded on the back side here. So the steel tube goes down through the plate, through that washer, and I left a nub sticking out the other side. I passed the rod all the way through so that a little bit of it stuck out this side here. And then I welded everything together, so the washer is welded to the steel plate and the tube is welded to the washer, and I just kind of blended it all in together so it's one mass, and it's very, very solid. I was actually surprised just how strong it is, but I don't think I'll have any problems with the shaft bending or the plate itself bending under any kind of a side load that the tail wheel may see. Another picture of the caster assembly. This is from the top view, sorta, kinda top view. Again, you can see the shaft that the bronze bushings ride on, and I don't know how clear it is in this photograph, but the top area where the shaft passes through the metal plate, that top area has no weld on it. What you see is just the heat pattern from when I welded it on the other side, but this side here has no welding whatsoever. The plate area here needs to be flat and smooth so that the bronze bushing has something nice to ride on. You don't want any kind of weld here interfering with the bushing itself. And again, you can see the two legs with the big holes in it. That's where the wheel assembly, the tire assembly resides, obviously with the axle bolt through it. And then the support diagonals tying those legs to the main body, the horn, the control horn body, where the tail wheel steering cables attach. And again, if you can picture this in the plane, as far as the airflow is concerned, it's got a very low profile. Only the small edges of the various metal pieces will actually be into the airstream. Couple more photographs here of the caster assembly. This is kind of like an exploded view of the finished assembly. The swing arm is to the left, and then just above that are the two bronze bushings, a washer and a bolt. Those, of course, get slid onto the shaft that makes up the caster assembly itself. That shaft is oh man, I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it's a piece of tubing, heavy wall 4130 tubing that's been drilled and tapped on the one end for a 1/4 28 bolt. And then the axle bolt with its washers and nuts, and then the tire wheel assembly itself, and that is a 4-inch tire. And then the next picture is just another shot of the finished assembly with the couple of bronze bushings slid onto the shaft, and then the nut and the washer. And again, the length of that shaft was sized so that with the bushings in place and the washer in place, you can tighten down that bolt on the top of the bushing. And when you crank on that bolt and torque it, it puts just the right amount of pressure on the bushings so that there will be no play, but yet it rotates freely. And that was all done just by shaving the length of that tubing ever so slightly and trial fitting it to make sure that the bushings were tight, but yet it was still able to rotate freely. Another modification that I have done for the benefit of saving weight back at the tail was to lighten the axle bolt. This bolt that makes up the axle for the wheel is a pretty good sized bolt, and it's got a decent amount of weight to it, so I decided to lighten it. First thing that I did was put it in the lathe, and I machined down the thickness of the head. The hex head is a pretty thick, heavy, beefy head, and I didn't think it's necessary for this application, so I went ahead and machined it down to what you see here, and then cleaned up the edges a little bit, and then I went ahead and drilled the entire length of the bolt out. I don't remember exactly what size drill I used, but I left a pretty good amount of material For the wall thickness, it doesn't really show that well in this photograph, but the wall thickness is still very decent for the application it needs to serve. I believe the wall thickness is more than adequate, but between drilling the thing through and machining down the head, I save a little bit of weight back there at the long arm of the tail wheel.
Hello again, everybody, and as usual, thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it worthy, and again, as always, hopefully you found something that was worth your time. So thanks again for stopping by, and again, making this short and sweet. I've got contact information available now, so if you feel the need to help me out with my RV7 project, feel free to email me. Or you can go to my GoFundMe, as I said in the beginning, at just do a search for Caretaker Arrow. That's Caretaker with a K. And again, I've got the Amazon wish list. And for you RV7 guys and girls out there, if you watch these videos and are moved to purchase an RV kit of your own, if you'd include my build number with your first order, Vans will give me $100. It's kind of like a referral, I guess. So if you were to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. It's no money out of your pocket. It's just something Vans does as an incentive. So as I said, if you decide to build and you order your first kit, if you would include my builder number, I'd appreciate it. And all this contact information will be in the description of each video. So check out the description and do what you feel you need to do, and I would appreciate any help. And again, if you need some further assistance, contact me. I've got photographs, I've got videos. We can communicate directly, and hopefully I can give you some further guidance if you want it. So that's it. Again, thanks for stopping by. Come back frequently. I try to do a video or two every week if I can. So subscribe, keep coming back, and I will talk to you again soon. All right, thanks.